right. As people start coming in, I'm gonna wait, give it a few minutes and see if people are gonna start tagging in, chiming in. Got a few little interesting topics to talk about. What's going on, Coach Spencer? Looking forward to our conversation on Sunday. I'm looking forward to getting some of that good knowledge and talking about the world famous system. Sorry guys, this is one of my first times doing an actual live outside of riding a roller coaster. If you're in, give me a thumbs up so I know that you can hear me. Thanks, Pastor Cliff, for tuning in. Just trying to get a thumbs up, make sure everybody can hear me really well. What's up, Coach Snell? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Just need to make sure I can adjust so everybody can hear me. All right, that lets me know you can hear me. You typed in. All is well, man. Just want to talk about a few little topics that are relevant at the moment, so we'll see how it's going to go. I think we're ready. I got a few more viewers still popping in. I'm going to go ahead and get started, so I ain't going to be before you very long. Just want to talk a little bit. And if you have comments or questions that you want to ask, if you want me to address, I'll address them as it goes along. Let's talk about skill development. I think skill development. What's up, Coach Ken? Glad you're in. I'm about to talk about your first topic right now. Pastor Cliff. All right. What's up, Andrew Drozdak, high school classmate. Good guy right there. All right, guys. So skill development. Let's talk about skill development. Skill development, I think, is one of the most important aspects to the game of basketball. I think it has become lost. I think a lot of high school coaches, I'm not going to say a lot of them, but some high school coaches, once they get into the season, they forget about, what's up, Coach BJ Jackson? Good guy right there, a good coach over at Legacy Charter. Got Christina, Coach Jones, but she was Covington when we was at Western Kentucky. Skill development, again, back to what I was saying, skill development I think is important because a lot of times, you know, you can get lost in the mode of the season and forget about skill development. Yes, you get better by playing, you get better by practice, that's great, but skill development is important because you still have to be able to develop an individual's game. If you can't develop an individual's game, how can they put to work their aspect of your system through them? You can't put your aspect of your system to work through them because they don't have the individual skill sets that they need to be successful to make a play. At the end of the day, to me, I think plays are just set plays. They're just designed for structure, in my opinion. I also think that you have to be able to play basketball. Basketball, name of the game is put the ball in the hole. So if your players can't make plays, how can you possibly make a play, execute a system? If I'm a point guard, how can I run your system if I can't dribble? If I'm a point guard, how can I run your system if I can't pass the ball? If I'm a big and you're a primary post coach and you want your offenses ran through the post, if I'm a post player, how can I not make a drop step? How can I not do a drop step? A few years ago, I encountered a player that didn't know how to do a drop step, and she was a junior. So I spent a lot of time trying to get her to learn how to do a drop step. And once she was able to develop a drop step, it made life so much easier. What's up, Coach Logan? It made life so much easier because she was able to do a drop step. She could make a layup, but she didn't know how to make a drop step. So when she caught the ball in the post, all she would do is catch it and throw it back out. So if I'm a slasher, I'm a slasher. but I got to be able to drive. What's up, Josh? Good luck in your fight next month. I got to be able to drive to the basket. Or if I'm a rebounder, I got to know the art of rebounding. Dennis Rodman said it best when he was in warm-ups. He would sit and watch the other team shoot. What's up, cuz? He would watch the other team shoot, and he would watch the rotation of their ball to see where it was going to come off at. So he studied it. He studied his teammates' shots. What's up, Jordan, Marvin? He studied his teammates' shot rotation. He studied the opponent's shot rotation, which is why in turn, what's up, Whips? Which is why in turn he ended up being one of the best rebounders in the game, if not the best rebounder in the game. So with that being said, if I'm a point guard, even if my coach is not requiring me to do it, at the end of practice, I'm going to take 15, 20 minutes and go through some ball handling drills. I'm going to pull one of my coaches aside and say, hey, coach, I need to go through some ball handling drills. Or if I'm a shoot. I think some of the NBA guys, I know when I was in the D-League, when I would go to practice, I would get there an hour early and I'd stay an hour after. I remember one day I watched Derek Fisher in the gym. He got in, it was 2 hours before practice or an hour after practice. He just shot after shot after shot. And in talking to him, he was like, I make 1,000 shots a day. Like NBA guys they're not just shooting 1,000 shots, they're making them. Or 500 shots, whatever. Challenge yourself. Everybody can go in the gym and make 50 shots. I can go to the gym and make 50 shots right now. And I'm fat, not a shape. But you have to go in and put the work in. So when you put in skill development, if you're not developing as a player or your team isn't developing, how much skill development are you really putting in right now? So skill development is a very important aspect, and it needs to be done on a regular. Take 15, 20 minutes out your practice schedule. You waste that much time talking and going over in a drill that you might have time on, right? So again, skill development is very important. Next, one of my topics is small ball. What's up, Jared? One of my topics is small ball. What do I think about small ball? I think small ball is good, depending on the type of players that you have. Me, personally, I'm an up-tempo type of guy. I like to put pressure on you. I like to switch defenses, change it up, make you think. I do a lot of things with that. So with small ball, right now, our biggest example is the Houston Rockets. Will the Houston Rockets win a championship with small ball in the NBA? Probably not, because there's other teams that are better and they have bigs who they're bigs, but they're just as good as their small ball guys. Like Anthony Davis was a point guard until he grew 8 inches, went from 6'3" to 6'11" in a year. I mean, and he handles the ball like a point guard. But at the end of the day, in the playoffs, you know it's an inside-outside game in the NBA. So small ball is good. With small ball, you have to have the correct system. When I say the correct system, you have to have a system that is catered to your team. If your team is a bunch of shooters and they're athletes and they're fast and they can get out and run, you have to cater that. You have to use that to your advantage. What's up, Adrian? You have to use that to your advantage. So using that to your advantage means you got to get the ball out of the net quickly, get it in bounds, make the next pass, take the first available shot. Jay Wright's offense, people don't know this because they don't study his offense, but it looks like they're taking bad shots. But his motto is you're the most open when you catch the ball. So when you catch the ball, that's when you're the most open. You're wide open, so to speak. That's when you're open. But then when you catch it and take time, what's up, Coach Reese? You take time. Now you got to put the ball on the floor, start dribbling. Now you give the defense a chance to set up and get back and stack the deck against you. Well, if you're going to play small ball, you got to get it out quickly. You got to put pressure. When you score, you got to crash the offensive boards because you have to get every single advantage that you can get, whether that's crashing the offensive boards, whether that's putting pressure defensively, whether that's getting the ball up the court, taking the first available shot, which in most cases is going to be within 10 seconds or less because you've taken it out and you can't worry about the other team scoring because you're small. So when you're small, you kind of give up something to get something. So I'm going to give up a layup or two, but I'm going to get it out and get it up the court quick so that now I get it up, I get the shot while you're running back, especially in high school, while you're running back celebrating, I'm pushing the ball back down your throat, getting a shot on the rim, and I got 4 or 5 guys crashing offensive glass. And if you get the rebound off a missed shot, I am now in your face trapping you, trying to create a turnover. Okay? A lot of teams don't like to play fast. So a lot of teams like to be methodical and run a set offense, and when you speed them up, it takes them out of their game or out of their game plan. So being small, you have to put pressure on the ball. That's number one. Point number one, small ball. Put pressure on the ball. Number two, you have to figure out who your shooters are, and you have to put people in the correct places on the floor. The guy taking the ball out of bounds cannot be your best player. Your best player needs to run opposite the point guard. Get your point guard to the right side of the court, get one of your shooters up, and the guys who are running the lane have to be willing to bust their butt to run the lane. They cannot jog up the court, or it takes away your advantage. When you're small, your advantage is speed. Speed kills in certain aspects. Everybody's still there. We got good thumbs up. Anybody got a question about small ball? I personally like small ball. What's up, Wesley? My football guy right there. I personally like small ball, but I don't think small ball can win a championship at the high level in the NBA. Rick Good, homie, what's good? I don't think small ball can win it at the big level, but I think you can win small ball in high school some, and even maybe in college in some aspects, because Villanova did it. They had one big, but for the most part, their four-man, Chris Jenkins, a few years ago was only 6'5". He was shorter than me. For round one, yeah, that's a good way to put your small ball out, and then you got your pick and pop guy like with Villanova. They would put Chris Jenkins at the 5, who's only 6'5", 6'6", maybe, and now he's playing pick and pop. Well, you're playing pick and pop with a 6'5" guy where you got 6'10" having to close out, or 6'10" having to he's having to stop a point guard coming downhill. Good point, Coach Snell. Yes, you got to have a rim runner who will run the rim, because if he runs the top off of the break, that creates everything for your offense. If your rim runner doesn't run, you're not going to get open shots. You're not going to get anything off of it. And you should throw the ball to your rim runner at least 2 or 3 times. I don't care if it's a turnover. Why do you do that? Because now the team knows, and the other coach knows now, that they're going to throw the ball to their rim runner, whether he's open or not. So now that puts pressure on the defense, because now you have to respect the man running to the rim, and now I got 2 decent shooters on the outside. You got to make a decision, and that's going to put you in a tough place if you're on defense, or if you're sprinting back in a fast break, or if you just scored and I'm taking the ball out and I'm coming right down the court at you. Coach Whedon out of Georgia, what's going on, buddy? Yes, another thing, you got to have a good decision maker at the point guard. You got to have a good decision maker, which that goes back to skill development. If your point guard is not developed, even in your system, your drills should be catered to your system. So if your point guard is not good in your drills, then he's not your point guard. Your point guard and especially in a small ball system that's going to play fast, your point guard and your rim runner have to make sacrifices. And the sacrifice is they're not going to be your leading scorers. They're just not. Because your point guard is there really to keep the defense honest. And then on top of that, your point guard has to be able to make the decision. Do I pass it to the big, run to the rim? Yes. Do I pass it to the diamond, the guy running the left side of the wing, which I call diagonal? Yes or no. Do I pass it up the other side? Or do I wait on the trail to come set me a drag screen in transition while the defense is trying to set up? That could be another situation that could happen. You got drag screens, but if your point guard is able to make this drag screen, you got to practice that drag screen and develop your point guard so that when he comes off of that drag screen, he can make sound decisions for that. Okay. For round one, yes. You got to have a good decision maker at the guard. Yes. And even versus a zone, you have to be able to make plays, and it takes skill development because a lot of teams nowadays do not play man to man. Excuse me 1 second. A lot of teams do not play man-to-man nowadays. And when you see people playing man-to-man, most coaches are not prepared for a team that's playing man-to-man. Because, why? It throws you off your game plan because you prepared for zone offense all week long. It's a fact. You watch it. Now, the teams that play man-to-man, they make it hard on offensive teams to score because most teams have practiced zone offense for so long or for the whole week that they forget about man-to-man. You should never forget about putting in a man offense or put in an offense that works against the man and the zone. So when you run it, if you can't figure out, because there are some teams that can disguise their man defense and make it look like a zone. What's up, Mark? Once you figure out they're in a man, which you should figure it out, because when they start moving, when your guys start moving and their guys start moving, then you know they're in a man. If they don't move in their guarding areas, then they're in the zone. Those are basic little tips. Your assistant coaches got to be able to point that out. B. Shelton, what's up? So have an offense that can work against the man or zone. I have a couple of them that work against the man or zone. My boy Rick Good just mentioned you have to have. You can. What's going on now? You got to have 4-round-1. That'll work against a man or a zone. It does not matter. And in that, thank you, Coach Snell, you can set ball screens. What's up, Coach BG Greenwood? Congratulations on that first round win. Go get you a second round win, big dog. One of my good boys from Little Rock, Arkansas, man. We used to play ball together. He's a good guy coaching at Philander Smith. Follow him. Give him a shout out. If you got players that are females looking to go somewhere, D2, hit him up. Slashers, yes. In the 4-round-1 in the zone, your slashers are going to be now. What's up, Coach DeWalt? What's up, NO? You got now your slashers have to your slashers now become important in a zone offense, against a zone defense. I'm sorry, guys. Let me get my thoughts back together. Your slashers become important in a zone defense, because now when you're setting that pick and roll out of your 4-round-1, your slashers are what's going to break the defense. Ball movement and attacking the gaps will break a zone down every time. Or if you hit in the middle. If you don't have a middle man, you have to hit the gaps. You have to hit the gaps. You have to hit the gaps. You have to move the ball, because if the defense doesn't move, there's no point. You're not going to score. You're going to take bad shots. As a coach, you're going to get frustrated. Your team is going to get frustrated. And then you're yelling about nothing. Yes, my bad. I'm sorry, Coach Snell. Coach Snell is head girls coach at North Bay Haven Charter Academy, Panama City. BG, hit him up. He's got some girls down there that can play at that level, and if he ain't got them at his school, he knows a couple more, because he's involved with a good program down there called the Gulf Coast Twisters. So hit him up. I'll connect y'all to after this live video. So that's where you're at with that small ball. Coach Ken, you said you wanted me to talk about player styles. Give me some players. Give me a couple players that I need to talk about while I'm still talking about this. So at the end of the day, make sure when you start your season, the first things that you need to have in place are a press breaker. Number one, you got to have a press breaker, because you can throw a defense together at any point in time. You can throw in a 2-3 zone, which I don't suggest. I mean, everybody has a 2-3 zone that they go to, but you need to teach man-to-man. So number one, you need to have a press breaker. Number two, you need to teach man-to-man. Hey, sis, Denise, you need to have a press breaker. Number one, you need to teach man-to-man defense. Number two, you need to have an offense. Number three, that can be ran against a man or a zone. If you have that, it will be successful. And then if you play teams twice, you'll know whether they play man or zone. But you should spend 20 to 30 minutes teaching man defense and man offense at some point during your practice. That way, what's up, Shake? That way you're always prepared for it, and you work it in practice. Yes, you're going to game plan and get prepared for the next team that is going to play the zone. They're going to play their 1-3-1. And of course, you've got to put a 2-guard front out with a 1-3-1, put somebody in the middle, put some people in the corners, and get some kind of movement off of it, whatever that may be. But when they get tired, and if they're not trapping out of that 1-3-1, or they're not trapping out of that 2-3, and you begin to hold the ball and make them come out, they got to come out and guard you. So now they're going to play man-to-man. They're either going to play man-to-man, or they're going to put pressure on you and try to trap you in the corners or at the top. You have to be prepared offensively either way. Most of the time when a team comes out, they come out into a man-to-man, and they don't come out of that 2-3 zone, usually because they're not prepared to play man-to-man. So if you get a lead on a team that scores, there's a prime example, a team called Irmo down here in South Carolina. They play a 1-3-1. Coach Ripple's been playing it for however long he's been coaching. I know I played against him. He plays a 1-3-1. They slow the ball down on you. If they get a lead in that 1-3-1, it's hard to beat them. You have to break your game plan to attack their 1-3-1, take quick shots, which they want you to do, in the corner especially, and now you're losing. But that same team who plays the 1-3-1 and been playing it for 30 plus years, now you get the lead on them, you pull them out. They're not prepared to play man-to-man because why? They've been playing 1-3-1 all their life. They've been playing that 1-3-1 in the system, especially if they're a senior. They've been playing that 1-3-1 for at least 2 years, if not 4 years. Or nowadays, you've got 7th graders playing varsity, so it doesn't really matter. A concept that coaches can use defensively, keep your head over the ball and play the lanes, man defense or zone defense. That is a fact. If you're going to play a zone, I say play a matchup. Why you play a matchup? Because with a matchup zone, you can do all those things that Coach Snell just said right there. What's up, Jeremy? But you also are teaching man principles. And what's up, cuz, Brad? You're also teaching man principles in a matchup zone. So when you're in that matchup zone, hey, sis, thanks for tuning in. You're in that matchup zone. You have to play man to man, because at that moment when you're matched up one-on-one. That means your big might be out on the point guard. That means your point guard might be on a big, but you have to play man-to-man principles. A zone really is man-to-man principles, but they're guarding an area, so to speak, and they leave it alone. They leave it away. They move away from it because they teach you to guard an area. No, I need you to guard a man. Put everybody else. Hey, sis, Tammy, I need you to put everybody else, instead of just when they're guarding their man in that zone, make everybody else play help side defense as if they're in a man-to-man. You can be in a 2-3 zone. You can be in a 3-2. You got it, but you still have to teach the man principles. Coach Snell, that's a good offense. We need to talk about that because you owe me an X and O's conversation anyway. You got to put that man principle in your zone. I think one of the worst zone defenses, and I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but I'm just trying to talk about certain things. I'm waiting on one guy to chime in about player styles. What's up, Coach Davis? So now I think one of the worst defenses you can play is a 3-2 zone. The 3-2 zone exposes you in a lot of ways. People don't understand this, but a 3-2 zone exposes you, A, in the corners, B, in the post, because now you have, if you get it to the corner, you've overloaded the side. It's hard to guard that. And in the middle of a 3-2 zone, which is really a 1-2-2 if you pull the middle man out a little bit higher, same principles, it is now hard. That middle is now subjective to get you beat, especially if you have a high post guy like myself. I was a high post guy who could hit the 15-footer. When you got a guy who can hit the 15-footer, that's going to bust the zone up every time. So in that, you have to still teach man principles. I got the man closest to me. If he's in my area, great. Yes, you take away the middle, but if he's in my area, I got it. But you, at the end of the day, it's not I'm playing you one-on-one on defense. I'm playing 5-on-1. So whoever's got the ball, all 5 of my guys are tuned into that one person. 5 people guarding the basketball. Coach Dennis Felton taught me that at the very first time when I got to Western Kentucky. 5 people guarding the basketball. Okay. And again, these are just my thoughts. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm not the best coach in the world. I'm not the perfect coach, but I have played the game in high school, college. I played overseas, and I'm a pretty decent coach. And I understand basic principles. I understand. What's up, Brad? QB. I understand now that you have to really, with this zone defense thing. What's up, Coach Madison? With this zone defense thing, Mike Morrison, Mike in the morning, check him out too. With this zone defense thing, you have to come out of that because most college teams don't play zone unless you're going to Syracuse. Yeah, you're going to Syracuse, you know you're going to play a 2-3 zone. It is what it is. As long as Jim Boeheim is there, you're going to play a 2-3 zone. But Duke ain't playing zone unless they have to. Carolina ain't playing zone. Kentucky not playing zone. They're playing man-to-man. Every now and then they'll switch to a zone, maybe to give a different look to the other coach, to the other team, to throw the offense off a little bit. But Frank Martin at South Carolina, man-to-man. Brad Brownell at Clemson, man-to-man. Dawn Staley at South Carolina, man-to-man. Travis Mitchell at Kentucky, man-to-man. Vic Schaefer at Mississippi State, girls side, man-to-man. You name it. I mean, I can go on for days that, you know, they're playing man. Again, unless you're Jim Boeheim and you're going to Syracuse, you're going to play man-to-man once you get to the next level. If that's not your primary defense in high school as a high school coach, that is fine. But still teach your kids how to play. Still teach your kids how to play man-to-man so they know when they get to the next level. What's up, Anthony? When a team goes 3-2, they are asking for me to hit them with some high-low action. Coach DeWalt, you are absolutely right. That's a state champion right there at Hemingway a couple years ago. Now he's coach at Carolina Forest here in South Carolina. Great dude right there. You're absolutely right. Because if you go 3-2 zone, now you've subjected me to the high post. So the high post is now wide open. And I'm going to eat it up. Because now you have to figure out how you're going to stop my guy in the high post. And then I can cut to the basket with my wings that are in the corners. Or I can just play high-low. I can post one up, put a high post and put a big in the high post and put a big on the block. Now you got to figure out what you're going to do, especially if my high post man can A, shoot it, B, put the ball on the floor and get to the basket. And I really appreciate everybody who's tuning in at the moment. I think that's all I got for today. Points of the day, skill development. It's a must. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Thanks, Coach Morrison. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to teach a little bit, trying to get some interest here just to talk about basketball, man. Because basketball is trying to become a lost art, man, and they need to get back to the basics. Teach skill development. Skill develop an individual player's game. Number one, skill develop the player to fit your system. You got to do those two things. Because if he can't make a play for you at the end of the game, because there's sometimes at the end of the game, there's a game situation where you can't call a play. Trey, what's up? One of my young boys there. You can't call a play for every situation. At some point, your player, you got to just trust your player to go make a play. But if you haven't skill developed them, they can't go make that play. B, train them for your system. Skill development. Your drills in practice should be catered. Your drills in practice should be catered to where I got you. Yes, sir. I got you, kid. Don't worry. I'm going to come find you, baby. Your Coach Snell, I'm going to get to that point. Yep, the 1-4 high looks there. You have to have your drills in practice should be catered to your offensive system, whatever that may be. For me, it's an up-tempo style fast breaking. So all of my drills in practice are going to go fast. If you run a Princeton style offense, your drills are working on ball control, making the correct passes, making good passes, making the right play. Yes, everybody should make the right play, but for me, and then on defense, I'm trapping. So I'm going to work trapping drills. I might have 2 people on one just to trap. I might have 3 on one just to trap. I might only work the top half of my press or the back half of my press. Whatever it may be, your drills in practice should be catered to your system. Cater it to your system. So again, skill development. Skill development point A, you got to develop an individual's game because at some point they're going to leave your system too. So you have to develop their game. B, develop them for your system. Okay? Develop them for your system. Small ball, point A. You have to use your advantages in small ball, whether that be your speed, whether that be your shooting abilities, whatever it may be, you have to use your advantages in small ball. Point B in small ball, you also have to understand that you are going to have to give up something to get something. Meaning, if you're 6'2" across the board and you're playing a team that's got 6'10", 6'5", 6'6", 6'3", and 6'2", you got to give up something. What are you going to give up? Maybe a layup, maybe an offensive rebound. It may be the point to where you're trying to keep the clock running and keep them tired. So the more you go, the more the clock runs, and the more you can run, the better, the more they can't sub, so the tighter those guys get. Another point in small ball, sub. Rotate your guys as much as you can. Because in the first 2 quarters, all you're trying to do is wear down the other team. Average high school team plays about 7, 8 guys. If you're like Dorman High School here in South Carolina, they're playing 10, maybe 11, and that is a very good high school team. Or if you're Mount Vert, where you're playing 11 or 12, or Oak Hill, you're playing 11 or 12, those are very good high school teams. The average high school team plays 7 good players and 1 extra to give you 8. They're not going to play more than that unless somebody's in foul trouble and they have to. So when you're got guy number 4, 5, 6, 7, you got 5 guys in, but you've taken out your 1 and 2, but you got 5 guys in and your 4 and 5 have been playing the whole game. And I've rotated fresh legs after fresh legs after fresh legs. In small ball, that is my advantage. I am tiring your guys out. So now when you put your bench in, I'm able to put my starters back in because I'm going to put guy number 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 in the game to tire out your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Period. Once they're tired out, now you're putting in your 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm putting in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who's going to win that game? Or who's going to have the advantage in that case? Me. Why? Because I have my starters going against your bench. So, skill development, develop the kid individual game for even when they leave you, develop their game for your system. Small ball, use your advantages. Whatever your advantages are, use them. Small ball point 2. Whatever it is, understand what your strength is. That's the way I should word it. Understand what your strength is. Because your strength is not height, because you're small. Understood? I think that's it. Thanks for tuning in to Thoughts by Coach J. I appreciate everybody that came on and watched. I'm looking for feedback. If you got other questions that you couldn't type fast enough while I'm talking, I know I was talking fast. Give me points, give me thoughts. I'm here to talk. I want to talk basketball. I love talking basketball. I think this is good. So that's all I got. Appreciate y'all for tuning in.